Sláinte! I am Roderick Patrick Murphy, and let me say also in the Irish language, Siad Mille Fáilte, which means 100,000 welcomes. This podcast is a series of my life stories based on a non-fiction book I wrote about growing up poor in Irish Boston in the 40s and beyond. It was called Growing Up Unwashed. This is the introduction podcast in the series. Boston is uniquely rich in history and culture. It was founded in 1630 and is considered the birthplace of the American Revolution. People of Irish descent are the largest single ethnic group in Massachusetts and the largest in Boston. Once a Puritan stronghold, Boston changed dramatically in the 19th century with the Irish wave of newcomers during this period, especially following the Great Irish Famine. Their arrival transformed Boston from an Anglo-Saxon Protestant city into one that is much more Catholic and diverse. However, in the 1840s and 50s, the anti-Catholic, anti-immigrant, know-nothing movement targeted Irish Catholics in Boston with hatred and discrimination. We Irish still resent that. Although I wrote these stories as a book, I'm now using it for my podcast. My now grown children love these log cabin type stories and ask me to write them down. So I did. The book included historical material, some philosophy, some sad stuff, opinion, and lots of Irish humor from a very fortunate guy who has lived a long and colorful life. Although most of this podcast series will be stories of my youth, I will add some grown-up stories also. I am Roderick Patrick Murphy, born in 1939. I grew up in a large Irish family in Irish Catholic Boston. I was happily married to Jean Michaud Murphy for 58 years until her death in 2020. We were blessed with 6 grown children, 8 grandchildren, and now 3 great-grandchildren. I am now a businessman in Southbridge, Massachusetts, a Central Mass mill town. I was born just before World War II and lived through the American post-war boom, a golden era when freedom, ambition, and success happened. It seems not to happen as much now. This book was written in small pieces. Later I looked at it and saw a memoir hiding. It needed to be fattened up, so I added some anecdotes from my young adult life. As I wrote these stories, I wasn't sure what I would do with the finished product. The book was published in 2009, soon after my 70th birthday. And I decided just to give it to family and friends. Maybe they would pass it around like dissident samizdat in the Soviet bloc during the Cold War. Professor Anthony Esselin of Providence College said the following in a recent speech at Holy Cross College. When a society is uprooted, it no longer tells its children stories. People who love their children tell them stories about when they were children. Esselin also said, if you only have what is now, you lead a pretty thin life. So we Murphys led a pretty thick life. Much of this retrospective has been edited to remove things of which I am not proud, and some that still prick my conscience and embarrass me. I have not recorded any of that here. Confession is the most wonderful of the many wonders of the Roman Catholic Church. Those things of which I am not proud have been confessed through a priest to my God, and I am now forgiven. I am happy the church does not charge by the sin, or I would have very large debts. I am thankful for my mother, father, brother, and sisters. I am very grateful to my loving wife, Jean, and to my wonderful children and grandchildren. There are friends still alive, and many passed on, who were positive forces in my life. When I was young, and even up till today, many people have gone out of their way to help me. Sometimes it has cost them much. I am thankful to them also. I see no reason not to be frank with my opinions in this podcast. Therefore, here and there, I let it rip. I hope I don't hurt anyone by what I have said here. I attempted to say it as I remembered it, as positively and with as much honesty and humor as I could muster. If I have hurt someone, I apologize. I have previously said that this is the introductory episode. Try one of the kids' stories also for the flavor of this series. This is Rod Murphy. Thank you for viewing or listening to my podcast episodes. I really appreciate it. If you liked it, and if you so choose, I ask you to send a good review and refer a friend who might be interested in this old Boston podcast series. Again, my thanks.